Looking on Twitter and seeing the hordes of Zoomers cheering this decision is quite wild to me. I kind of regret not getting into politics because it seems that the Zoomer generation is the most easy to dominate out of all the previous generations. Even the boomers had a little bit more common sense. You see, if you want to dominate the Zoomers, all you have to do is to show them an industry they don't like, say that you'll regulate it for their own safety, and they will agree with you. Like, they don't think that the same regulations can be applied to other things, like, I don't know, gun stores, for instance, or stuff they say online, or an end to their internet privacy. Like, none of that computes to them. Like, maybe they haven't asked Grok to think for them. I genuinely do not understand why anyone would cheer for credit cards banning stuff that's legal. Like, why would you want to create a system in a world that's almost entirely dependent on internet transactions, and you're basically telling the money merchants, yeah, you know what? Our politicians, they don't really get the laws that we want. Why don't you guys set morality for us? Why don't you guys become the new Catholic Church? Because what could possibly be the bad things that come out of that decision? And the answer is, like, of course, if you're a liberal politician, let's say, and you want to get rid of guns, or you want to get rid of people that criticize you online, well, there's two ways you can do it. Number one is to pass a legislation. But passing a legislation is sometimes hard. Maybe you don't have, like, the number of people in the House. Maybe you don't have enough representatives. Maybe you're just a moron and no one takes you seriously. And so what you can do now is to do a couple of backroom deals, get some activists going, get a little bit of lobbying going, and you get the payment processors to now, for instance, decide that gun stores are unable to sell any type of merchandise using a credit card. Right? And all of a sudden, like, you haven't limited the Second Amendment, you haven't done anything like that, but the results are that, well, gun stores are going to suffer a lot of losses. Some of them may even have to close. And then you fucking go, right? And this is the world that the Zoomers like. Now let's talk a little bit about Steam. Because a lot of people ask, well, what are the indie games? What are the postals? What are the games pushing the envelope? What are the hilarious games that people used to make in the 90s or people used to make in the early 2000s? And, like, what happened to them? And the answer is, well, there are many people that have the money to create games. Like, technically, nothing stopping someone from making a new Duke Nukem game or a new Postal game. Like, they would just call it differently, but it would still have, like, the same humor. It will still have, like, the same feel to it. But the problem is, if you actually read Steam's terms of service, it flat out says that you're not allowed to do hate speech. So what exactly does that mean? Well, you don't know. Like, Steam doesn't offer consultations. So what you're going to do is you're going to invest $50,000, maybe $100,000 into making a game. And then if it gets blocked on Steam, you're never going to see that money back. So who's stupid enough to do this? Like, obviously, everyone is going to sanitize their games. Everyone is going to make sure that their video games treats everyone respectably. Because they don't want to risk being in the gray line. If they even have to ask, will Steam ban this? Well, just by asking the question means that you have to sanitize it. And that's, like, one of the way that indie developers are being affected. They don't know. They have no idea if the game is going to be banned or not, because hate speech, as you're going to look into culture, you're going to notice that it means differently from year to year to year. Like, for instance, in 2020, if you misgendered someone, or if you try to define what a woman is, that was considered hate speech. Like, there were people that got in trouble with the law in the United Kingdom. Nowadays, it's fine to say, but there are other things that aren't fine to say. And so if you start making a game in 2020, by the time it releases, you realize that you're in one of the most uncertain businesses ever. Shit changes from year to year. And then you also have this nonsense, right? Like, Steam got new rules that allows Visa and Mastercard to decide what kind of adult content you get. A lot of people complain that Steam is full of slop when it comes to the adult industry. And there's a reason for that. People don't want to invest money into it. Like, you could create an interesting story. You could create like a game that's actually thought-provoking and has some lewd aspects to it. But no one wants to because it's too expensive and too risky. So the first hurdle is one that, in my opinion, is common sense. Is Steam making sure that people who don't want to see adult don't get to see it. So in order to see an adult game, you have to actually click on a box. You have to go into the option. You have to turn the safety filter on. And then when you make the game, you also can't advertise it. Like almost every single platform doesn't want to advertise adult. It's already locked and it's being removed from the Google search engine. So like you're already dealing with that hurdle. But you know, like at the end of the day, it's good if people who don't want to see adult don't get to see it. Like I'm not going to argue against that. Finally, in order to buy a game, you need a credit card. So there's that one step of verifying that the person is an adult. Then Steam itself notices what you said when you created the account. And finally, there's also the fucking patents, right? Like, do they exist or not? Like, all you have to do is to go into your kid's Steam library and you can see exactly what they bought. So, out of all the adult industries online, in my opinion, Steam is already the safest. Now, there's also the morality issue, right? Like, Steam is complying with laws in a lot of countries, so they're saying that every single character in an adult game has to be over the age of 18. And this causes a gray area for a lot of developers, because when you're doing the anime style, the difference between a 17-year-old character and a 19-year-old character when it comes to drawing them is very small. Like, there's a lot of My Hero Academia characters that look like they're 23, 24. Meanwhile, there are characters that do look like 23, 24, but they're 16 in canon, right? So, like, again, developers have to make sure that all the characters have massive tits, that they drop their tax reforms while they're doing sex, that if you shake a waifu, her credit card drops, you know, like, they have to do all these things in order to prove that their characters are of age. Because they don't want risking to get banned, right? Now, Visa and Mastercard comes along and says, well, that's not enough. Like, we need even more. And so Steam is now saying, okay, well, Visa and Mastercard can take down your game if it doesn't comply to their policies. Which basically tells developers, if Visa or Mastercard changes their policies next year, you're cooked. Right? Like, you're cooked. Because you can start making a game now that adheres to all policies. And next year, Visa and Mastercard says no spanking. Right? Do not rudely smack a lady on the tushy. The UK actually has that. You're not allowed to do caning, I think it's called. And so maybe you have a game where, you know, Lady Dimitrescu is chasing you. And you have like that paddle and you're smacking her. And all of a sudden, that's not allowed. Because Visa says so. It's too degenerate for society. People should go back watching real women. Should go back watching OnlyFans, watching Pornhub. Like, what are you doing watching cartoons? Are you insane? Visa doesn't like that. This is another issue, you know, like people focusing on the most trivial shit imaginable in society. Cartoons. Like, in my opinion, you know, the porn industry always existed, has existed, and will exist. But, like, one of the most safer forms, if you will, you know, compared to strip clubs, compared to brothels, compared to even having a person hooked to an e-girl and spending her money. I think like the most safe form out of all of them has to do with drawings, right? Well, I guess like the safer form now that's going to take over, it's going to dominate, because this is what the Zoomers are pushing everyone to, whether they realize it or not, is going to be offline AI. Because offline AI is out of the supervision of Visa, Mastercard, government regulations, and all that shit, right? You have like a text-based waifu, and you can do like the most degenerate filth you want with her, and no one knows. And then we can pretend that society has fixed the issue, we're all pious, we're all decent people, while in private, it's more degenerate than ever, right? Like, this is what happens when you're pushing for policy without actually talking to the people, without actually trying to understand the issue. Like, this type of censorship is just sweeping the problem under the rug. Because you're not fixing it, right? You're not trying to convince the people that consume this material that it's wrong to consume them. And probably the reason is that, well, as far as I know of statistics, 80% of men watch porn regularly. So they kind of know, like, look, you're not going to convince anyone, right? Like, as long as you do, the only difference is, like, some people feel guilty about it, I guess. You know, like, some people cope. It's like, yes, I'm struggling with the addiction, but, like, it's difficult for me, but I want to quit, and this guy doesn't, or, you know, like, whatever. It's a vice at the end of the day. It's like drinking, it's like smoking, it's like gambling. It's part of human nature. Not everyone does it. Not everyone does it at the same rate, but it exists, right? And so instead of having an argument or talking to people, you're basically telling them, let's allow Visa and Mastercard to take it away from them. Like, do you think that's going to make things better? I don't think it's going to make things better, but it is what it is. And so, regarding Visa and MasterCard, you know, like, they come up with all sorts of nonsense. I remember on Patreon, they decided to go after like hypnosis. Like, that's not even remotely real, right? Like it doesn't exist in real life. You can't hypnotize a lady while having a date. But it is a fetish for some people. You know, some people like to see the succubasu hypnotizing the incel. An artist is getting paid, he draws it. There's no woman getting kidnapped in order to create this shit, right? Some petty little thing to go after that. The artist is probably sitting in a one-room apartment, making some ends meet, paying taxes, hiring an accountant, and he's got like a little business going. No, we need to crush the little guy. Go work for Walmart. Go into the wage cage. Like, okay, you know, it is what it is. I get it that the entire culture is to harass the little guy while, you know, the big corporations like the OnlyFans and the Pornhubs and all that, those are the ones that need to thrive. But the only thing that I have an issue with is that this doesn't stop at pornography. It actually goes and it's going to sink into art. It's going to sink into music, like this type of regulations, this type of nonsense, until it's actually going to start affecting the average guy. And when it starts affecting the average guy, it will blow out. The same thing that happened with video games, right? Like trying to desexualize female characters. You know, the first time they reduced the tits, no one said anything. You know, they reduced some of the sexy elements from video games, no one said anything. But then when they started making the strong jawlines, body type A, body type B, they started annoying too many people. And now you have like a backlash in the complete opposite, where you have the stellar blades, where you have the Nikkei, where Asia is taking over. So like America didn't like having soft power, you guys didn't like having the Tomb Raider, the Mass Effect, the Morrigan from Dragon Age. No, that was too productive, it created too many jobs, it was too degenerate, it was too sexualizing, so now we're all doing business with China. Right, like this is one thing that I noticed the new generation of Zoomers that do not understand is that life is not like playing chess. Like the chess pieces have a mind of their own, and you try to avoid your moves. You know, the idea that there are good policies and bad policies. No, everything is a trade-off, and especially when you apply this level of censorship, like, people will just move. They just migrate to someone that has more common sense to sell them what they want. Especially when it's something that's not illegal or shouldn't be illegal. I mean, you know, smacking the ass of an anime waifu. Get the fuck out. Oh, that's destabilizing society now. Well, if you created such a weak society, and then it's the issue with the birth rates, you know? It's like, I'm sorry, but looking at the situation, the birth rates don't seem like an existential crisis. They seem like an economic crisis. And your decision to fix the economic crisis is to further fuck with the economy. Okay, fine. But, like, let's look at the existential crisis. Like, you're telling me that men are being assaulted by a tsunami of women, and so they need to lock themselves up into their house in order to interact with their waifus? It's like, obviously that's not what's happening, right? Like, the issue with the birth rates is solely on women. They're the bottleneck of society. They're the ones that decide if sex happens or doesn't. The main problem that I may see is the lack of testosterone. Like, the entire Zoomer generation has been traumatized by third wave feminism to the point where You show them a sexy lady on the screen and they freak the fuck out. But if you show them Kratos fully buffed and with his nipple showing, no one cares. Right? Like LGBT is promoted, heteronormative stuff is cracked down. This culture is pushing for legislation that is empowering Visa and Mastercard to start banning and cracking down. And that's pretty much the result. And so you end up with art being completely sanitized and you wonder, well, where's the good shit at? Well, let me ask you something, right? Like, if this is the situation, would you release Game of Thrones now? Game of Thrones has incest. It's got non-consensual sex happening. It's got some really nasty and vile shit. It's even got, like, underage stuff in it, doesn't it? Doesn't Joffrey kill one of the whores with a crossbow? And he's underage. He's under 18 in that scene, right? And so you can have like art that's complex, that generates emotions, that's popular, goes around the world, but not with this regulation. Because everything is a gray line. You don't even have a set of clear rules of what's allowed and what isn't allowed. Everything is like, well, it depends, you know, if Visa and Mastercard feels like it, maybe it's allowed, but it all can change next month. I mean, look how fast culture is changing, right? And if the credit card companies, they really care about the culture and the policy, well, it's going to defend from year to year to year based on enforcement, right? Like, what is hate speech now going to be something else that's 5 years from now? What is considered obscene now may be considered obscene differently 5 years from now. Like, take into account that any type of violence was considered incredibly harmful to the point where parents were freaking out about Tom and Jerry. Like, I'm not kidding, that used to happen when I was a kid. And to be honest, they kind of had the point. Like, the violence was actually a stronger argument because a kid that could see Tom picking up a flower plant and dropping it on someone, they may think that that's safe to do in real life, right? Like a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old sees that in a cartoon, they may think, oh, well, so the person is going to get hurt, but not a lot, right? And there were cases where they reproduced shit that they saw on TV and people died. So, like, the parents actually had a point then. But now, no one cares. Like, if someone catches you showing violence to a kid, you know, you're watching, like, some shonen anime, you're watching Naruto or something, right? And it's, like, incredibly violent. No one is going to say that, oh, that's a problem, oh, like, what are you doing, you know? Oh, it's cartoons, let him alone. And my point is that the mentality has changed dramatically within, like, the last 10 years. And so if you're allowing credit cards to decide what is and isn't allowed based on morality and based on the current culture, well, people will just not invest into video games and you're going to have more AAA slop. And the people that will dominate are going to be Asia. Because they have more common sense, you know, at least their rules are clear. At least with the Chinese Communist Party, you flat out know what you are and aren't allowed to do. And you're going to have your kids growing up on Asian entertainment. And when your politicians are going to say, oh, we need to do something against China, they're going to be, no, China is the country that gives us waifus. Why are you going against it? I just played Wukong. This is literally what's happening in Eastern Europe, but towards America. Like, if you tell a European, hey, have you heard what J.D. Vance said to the EU? They will say, good. I mean, he's J.D. Vance. He's from America. He knows what's up. Why? Because we grew up with American music. We grew up with American TV shows, American movies. And so a lot of people absolutely love and adore America, even though they've never been there, they've never spoke with an American. That's called soft power. And the fact that people are happy now, like an entire generation is happy with renouncing its soft power so that other countries can pick it up, is just wild to me. Anyway, I don't think this is going to get fixed. I think it's going to get worse until it affects the normies. I give it 5 or 10 years. And then we will reassess. It really depends, you know, like in 5 or 10 years, if people have enough or new technology comes up, I suspect, and this is my take, that people are just going to use AI offline mode the same way that Grok has the waifu, right? They're either going to focus on that shit, or they're just going to install something similar on their laptop and they're going to have, you know, text-based interactions with their waifus, away from the moral busybodies, away from the moral police, while also going online and demanding censorship. This seems to be a hallmark with the Zoomer generation. In private, they still do the same shit. In public, they pretend they don't and they advocate for more control. it's going to be for the Generation Alpha to figure it out. Let me know what you think, and as usual, I will see you on my live stream. Take care.